What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Roasted, a brutally honest review. Today we're tearing apart The Walking Dead Destinies. If you thought the TV show was going downhill, wait till you get a load of this steaming pile of trash. Buckle up, because this game is about to get roasted. First off, let's talk about the so-called story. This game's plot is more confusing than a drunk toddler trying to solve a Rubik's Cube while riding a roller coaster. The story meanders aimlessly like a brain-dead walker with no clear direction or purpose. It's like they handed the script to a group of lobotomized monkeys and told them to make a story that's as engaging as watching paint dry. Remember the intense, heart-wrenching moment from the TV series? Well, forget about them. The game takes everything that made the show compelling and shits all over it. Characters you once cared about are now reduced to hollow, emotionless husks spouting dialogue as wooden as termite-infested shacks. Decisions that carry weight are completely pointless because the narrative forces you down a predestined path of boredom. The pacing is fucking atrocious. One moment you're trudging through endless tedious dialogue, and the next you're thrown into action scenes that make no sense. It's like the developers have no clue how to balance storytelling and gameplay. They just mashed it all together in a blender and poured out this chunky, undrinkable mess. Now let's dive into the gameplay mechanics. The clunky controls are so unresponsive that it feels like trying to steer a shopping cart with a broken wheel through a crowded mall. Every action you try to perform is met with a delay that makes you wonder if the game is having a fucking stroke. Combat is an absolute joke. Swinging a bat at a walker's head feels about as impactful as slapping them with a wet noodle. The gunplay is no better. With aiming mechanics that seem designed to make you miss, there's no satisfaction, no weight behind your actions, just a repetitive cycle of frustration and tedium. And let's talk about the so-called survival elements. You're supposed to scavenge for supplies and make tough choices, but instead it's a tedious grind. The inventory system is a fucking mess, making it a chore to manage your items. Crafting feels like a pointless afterthought, with recipes that make no sense and provide little benefit. Survival should feel tense and challenging, not like a mundane grocery shopping trip. And the stealth mechanics? Don't make me laugh. Trying to sneak around this game is like trying to sneak past a pack of hyenas with a fucking cowbell around your neck. The AI is so bad that sometimes they don't even react when you're right in front of them. It's infuriating and completely breaks any immersion. There's no thrill in sneaking past enemies when they're too stupid to notice you unless you literally bump into them. The graphics in this game look like they were ripped straight from a 2005 dumpster. The textures are so low res that you'd swear you were playing on a fucking toaster. The character models are so lifeless and stiff, moving around like they've got a stick up their ass. The environments are dull and uninspired, making every location feel the same. It's hard to immerse yourself in a game that looks like it was designed by a group of high school dropouts using fucking Microsoft Paint. The zombie animations are laughable. More reminiscent of a bad Halloween prop than the terrifying creatures they're supposed to be. Watching these zombies shuffle around is more likely to make you burst out laughing than send chills down your spine. It's like the developers thought, why bother making them scary? Let's just make them look as ridiculous as possible. The lighting and shadows are a complete joke. It's either so dark you can't see shit, or so bright it looks like you're walking on the surface of the sun. There's no in between, no subtlety. Just a visual mess that makes your eyes bleed. The sound design is an absolute travesty. The voice acting is so wooden and uninspired that it sounds like the actors were reading their lines off a teleprompter while taking a shit. The ambient sounds and music do nothing to enhance the atmosphere. Instead, they make you want to mute the game and play something, anything else in the background.
Sophia!
The groans of the zombies are more comical than scary, and the gunshots sound like they were recorded with a fucking potato. There's no tension, no immersion, just a cacophony of poorly mixed audio that makes you want to rip your ears out. It's like they recorded the sound effects in a fucking bathroom stall. The soundtrack is forgettable at best and irritating at worst. It's either completely out of place or so generic that it fades into the background. There's no sense of urgency, no mood setting, just a bland, lifeless noise that adds nothing to the experience. The AI is laughably bad. The walkers stumble around aimlessly, getting stuck on walls and objects like they're trying to reenact a bad comedy skit. Engaging with these brain-dead morons is less thrilling than watching a snail race. It's like the developers didn't even bother to program any intelligence into these enemies. They just threw some poorly animated zombies into the game and called it a day. The so-called smart enemies aren't any better, displaying about as much tactical acumen as a cardboard box. They either rush at you mindlessly or stand around waiting to get shot. It's embarrassing and frustrating in equal measure. And don't get me started on the boss fights. They're so poorly designed that it feels like the developers gave up halfway through and said, "Fuck it, that'll do." The difficulty spikes are all over the place. One moment you're breezing through hordes of zombies, and the next you're getting your ass handed to you by a single enemy. There's no balance, no sense of progression, just a random, frustrating mess that makes you want to throw your controller across the room. And oh boy, let's not forget about the bugs and glitches. The game is riddled with more technical issues than a Windows Vista launch. Characters fall through the floor, missions fail to trigger, and the game crashes more often than a blindfolded driver on the freeway. It's a broken, buggy mess that makes you wonder if the developers even playtested this shit. I've had characters stuck in walls, zombies floating in midair, and game-breaking bugs that force you to restart your console. Trying to play this game is like stepping into a minefield. You never know what's going to blow you up next. It's clear the game was rushed out the door with little regard to quality control. It's like they just threw the steaming pile of shit out there and hoped no one would notice. And the patch updates? Don't even get me started. Each update seems to fix one thing and break 5 others. It's like they're playing a game of whack-a-mole with the bugs, and they're losing. Miserably. In conclusion, The Walking Dead Destinies is a monumental failure on every level. The story is a convoluted mess, the gameplay is clunky and unresponsive, the graphics are outdated, the sound design is atrocious, and the AI is laughably bad. If you're looking for a game that tests your patience and sanity, this is it. Otherwise, steer clear of this dumpster fire. You'd have more fun watching grass grow than playing this abomination. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more brutally honest reviews. See you next time, and don't play shit like The Walking Dead Destinies.